Like many of you, I have tried different various of planning apps, of task lists, trying to meditations and other useful methods. But these methods didn't bring me desired results, and I was rather sad. And despite all my efforts, I found myself in different traps like endless planning but rarely executing. And have you ever wondered why it happens and how we can deal with it? Hello guys, I want to share with you one of planning method that has significantly boosted my productivity. It have started with my try to find useful app, and I have downloaded a lot of apps. They were very good designed, they offered me a lot of features, and I have spent hours of time to organize my day in these apps or organize my week in these apps. It doesn't even matter. These apps promised me to increase my productivity by organizing and prioritizing my tasks and my efficiency. But soon I have noticed that I never complete these tasks in these apps. Are there real planning? Yes, but what about follow through? Not so much. When I have moved to more traditional methods like journals, on paper calendars, I thought maybe the physical act of writing things down would help me cement my commitment to getting this done. I diligently wrote down my tasks, my daily, weekly and even monthly to-do lists. Every morning I would start with high hopes, convinced that today would be the day I'd check off every item on my list. But the problem remained the same, many tasks went unfinished and I was left feeling disappointed and frustrated. I even tried meditation and mindfulness practices to better understand my goals and desires, and I thought that by becoming more in tune with my inner self I would find the clarity and motivation needed to tackle my tasks with renewed vigor. And while these practices certainly helped me feel calmer and more focused, my task completion rate remains stubbornly low. I was still stuck in the cycle of good intentions with low follow-through. At this point I was beginning to be disillusioned. I have tried everything, to use apps, to use calendars, to use task lists and others, but I understand that all these methods doesn't help me with action. Of course I can make different strategies, I can prioritize my tasks, but sometimes reality are differ of my expectations. I kept procrastinating on important tasks and focusing on minor ones. The question was no longer about finding the right tool, but understanding why I was failing to act on my plans. We know what needs to be done to move forward, but we often avoid doing it. And why? Just because our brain are wired to resist tasks that are difficult or uncomfortable. Imagine this, you have a to-do list with 10 tasks. Out of those there are probably 2 or 3 that are truly important. Tasks that, if completed, would make a significant impact on your goals. Yes, these are often the tasks we procrastinate on the most and instead spend our time on easier, less impactful tasks, tricking ourselves into feeling productive when in reality we are avoiding the real work. To understand this better, let's dive into the science behind it. Our brain is an incredibly complex organ designed to protect us and conserve energy. When faced with a task that seems challenging or overwhelming, our brain triggers a kind of alarm that steers us toward easier, more pleasurable activities. This response is linked to our brain's reward system, particularly the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and motivation. Tasks that we perceive as difficult or unpleasant trigger less immediate dopamine release, which is why we are more inclined to avoid them. Our brain incessantly tells us, why tackle that thought project when you can get a quick hit of dopamine by checking your email or scrolling through social media. However, when we overcome this initial resistance and start working on this important task, our brain eventually starts releasing dopamine, making the task more enjoyable and increasing our motivation to continue. This is where most productivity methods fall short. They don't help us push past that initial resistance. We know what needs to be done, but our brain's natural inclination is to avoid discomfort. This is why so many of us find ourselves procrastinated on the every tasks that would be closer to our goals. So how we do overcome this natural resistance? How do we get ourselves to do these things we know are important but often avoid? The answer is surprisingly simple, yet incredibly powerful. My method is based on looking into the task list and understanding what tasks you do not want to do at all. And then, using the sheer willpower, do exactly that. Instead of choosing easy and comfortable tasks, do something that you do not want to do at all. This technique leverages the concept of eating the frog, a metaphor popularized by Mark Twain, which suggests that you should tackle your most challenging tasks first thing in the morning. The idea is that by doing the hardest things first, everything else in your daily life will be easier by compression. But this technique takes it a step further by applying it continuously throughout the day, not just in the morning. When I first started using this technique, it was incredibly difficult because my brain came up with all sorts of excuses to avoid the tasks that I didn't want to do. But I was committed to giving it an honest try. To help myself stay on track, I established a simple routine. I set a daily reminder on my phone with the question, what do I least want to do right now? These simple steps help me stay focused on the most important tasks and prevents me from falling back into old habits. After practicing this method for about 20 or 40 days, I noticed some remarkable changes. The volume of tasks I completed remained almost the same, but the quality of those tasks improved dramatically. I was no longer just crossing off minor tasks to feel productive. I was taking the big important projects that truly mattered. As a result, I started feeling much better, my efficiency increased, and I saw real progress in my projects. I began to notice that the tasks I used to procrastinate on were now being completely first. My projects started to move forward faster, and I felt more confident and motivated. The technique not only helped me get more done, but also changed the way I approached my work. I was no longer avoiding the hard stuff, I was actively seeking it out. Like any technique, this one isn't without its challenges. One potential pitfall is burnout. If you are constantly pushing yourself to do tasks you resist, you might find yourself feeling drained, and it's important to balance this approach with self-care. Make sure that you are not just forcing yourself through every task without giving yourself breaks or time to recharge. Another challenge is the temptation to revert to old habits. When you feel overwhelmed, it's easy to slip back in the comfort zone of easy tasks. To counter this, I recommend periodically reviewing your progress and reminding yourself why you have started this technique in the first place. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small, and keep pushing forward. Remember that by consistently choosing the task you least want to do, you're not only completing important work but also training your brain to associate these tasks with positive feelings of accomplishment and progress. This technique doesn't just help you get more done, it transforms the way you approach your work and your life. Thank you for watching. I hope that this technique will help you as it helps me. I would be very grateful if you will leave your honest comments under this video, and do not forget to subscribe my channel if you really like such topics and you want to see new videos. And thank you for watching.